Everyone recording? All good?
I'm trying my best. Start
Okay.
recording.
Mo, how about you?
Save recording file locally, beta. Start recording. And then,
Choose the Chrome tab,
yeah, I was going to
the tab on
share
the
the
right side.
Jitsi Meet. I have it like in the Jitsi application. Then I have to share it. And
Okay.
it says recording file. Let me see what happens if I just do the whole screen. Start recording. Local. Entire screen. Screen 2. I don't know, man. No, recording failed to start. Yeah, sorry. I don't know what's up. I don't know. Uh, I'm happy to keep messing with it, but I don't really know an immediate path to fixing this. So this could be
Okay.
time consuming.
See
Mo,
that?
did you start your recording?
Yeah, my recordings actually started before you asked everyone.
Okay.
So I
Cool.
do hope the
So,
audio and everything's going to be good.
So do you have 2 recordings going now, Christoph
yep.
and Mo?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's just
Cool.
for safety, you know.
I can do like an OBS
Yep.
recording for you. I'll
Yeah,
get
I'm
that
doing
going
an
as
OBS.
a
I'm
backup.
doing an OBS one.
You got an OBS one?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, cool. Then let us kick off. So since there are some new faces here, so my name's Christoph. Thanks all for being here. Mo and I were kind of the organizers for this event, and I took a look back, and we decided to do this 41 days ago, and it's pretty much been a full time since then. Now we're done with it, so it is pretty awesome. What from nothing basically to going through this, and now having 10 to 12 projects present here today, and then there might be a few more projects that will present or that are cannot make this call or more comfortable submitting a video or so, and then we'll see. They have time until midnight to kind of send those files in. So I'm very excited to see what we'll come up with. And a quick shout out and thank you to Mo for being an awesome co-organizer, for Johns and Ed and the Bold Fun crew. They did a ton of stuff in the background and also helped get this going. All the amazing sponsors, which I have to look up real quick. We have Peak Shift, which is once again John's, Breeze, Bitbox, Six and Lemon, the Lightning Store, and then we have 2 mystery sponsors that will never be revealed. Big thank you for them as well. And also thank you for all of you who put in all your time with this. I hope this was an awesome, interesting opportunity for you to gather, explore some creative ideas and come up with some cool stuff. But because we have 10 to 12 projects presenting, let's hop right in. And I would just open it up and see if anyone wants to take the lead and be the first one. How are we looking? How is it? Okay, Stephen, thanks for the recording. Okay, cool. Please go ahead. Do you want to? You can share your screen.
I don't know how to use this.
Okay.
Okay. No, I'm good. Hi, everyone. I can share my screen. Does that work?
There is at the bottom in those panels, there's a screen.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Can you guys see my screen still?
Looks good to me. Everyone else good?
Yep.
Cool. So,
awesome. Yeah, just a heads up before we start, we'll try to keep it to 10 minutes just because otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take that
forever.
long.
Okay. Excellent.
Something went wrong if it took that long. But yeah, hi everybody. I'm a JE. I am working with my friend Chris on this project. We're from a company called the Untitled Studio. It's based in Trinidad, which is in the Caribbean. And we've been working, I guess, with Bitcoin and Lightning for about 18 hours now. But we figured that this was a good entry point because we were looking for something to do to get involved. And we found this post on the Legends of Lightning forum, posted by Arvin, and it was basically like this idea of communicating that the volatility isn't necessarily a bad thing, and instead changing the paradigm from one of either, I need to spend fiat or not, but changing it to this idea of like there's no negative action. So there's no longer a positive negative paradigm. There's now just you're either stacking your sats or you're saving them. And I figured that since it was just a UX problem, then it could be something that we could take a look at because we work in UX at home. We have been working for a few years, so we figured that we would have a chat with Arvin and see where he was thinking about with the idea. And we got together yesterday to do a design sprint, and we are going to show you the result of that. So we have like two big things that we want to achieve with this, and one of them is we want to reposition the idea of price volatility around either saving your money or spending your money, as opposed to the prices up or the prices down, right? I think that just changing that paradigm to a positive one is part of the outcome of what he's looking for, but also there's this idea as well of being able to improve and inform the way that people spend or do their transfers a little bit easier. So those are the two things that we're trying to cover with it, right? So he made the suggestion of a tool that calculated the average buying price for Bitcoin based on your existing transaction history, and then making a suggestion that at some point somewhere in the flow we should be able to see how this paradigm of stacking or spending works, but it also should feel intuitive and shouldn't feel like something that people have to like refer to a spreadsheet to see the latest price on, for example. So I'll kind of run you through like how it started with us. So this was our first preview of the design, and we decided that we wanted to we decided that we wanted to start with a web layout, and we wanted to kind of see what that would look like. So we started with a landing page, and then we wanted to think about how do you get into the system, and the web felt really good as well. So we wanted to do is like onboard people, show them what the idea is like. So we have this idea of stacking your sats, of spending your sats, but then also this idea of understanding the average that you came into relative to the current price. So the idea is that for everybody, the idea of whether it's time to stack or spend can be different based on the history that you have inside of this particular Lightning wallet. So then for sign up, we thought we can move through the Lightning wallets that have connectors. So we just like got a couple of them. So in this particular instance, we would use the Bitcoin Beach wallet, and you would enter your phone number, and then from there we would sync to this Bitcoin Beach wallet. You'll be able to see the balance in it, and then we would have this new approach to the layout where, yes, we are able to give people an idea of their price average. And I think that we can also improve upon the UX to like state to people, hey, it's actually a good time to stack your sats. I don't think that it's like too much to say that, but the same icon driven approach that we kind of took is over time hopefully going to help people with those queues. So even on these individual transactions that we have here, you could see that like based on whether or not it was a transaction that should have been stacked or should have been spent at, you can see whether or not you have this idea of a relative loss or gain on the transaction itself based on where you are at with your average buying price. So then from there we went into Figma, and we built a prototype of what this web app could look like. Can everybody still see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Does it look like a Figma screen?
Sure does.
Great, thank you. But yeah, so we wanted to have now this idea of, it's a wallet, and it's a wallet that is connected to another, but it gives you a different approach to presenting the information. So you will always be able to see in a kind of a live way whether or not it's better or not to spend your sats at this moment. But we can also present you with an idea of what that average is going to be like over time and show you where you are relative to the position. So I think instead of thinking about, oh, what is the price of Bitcoin today? The conversation changes to, oh, it's a good day to start some sats. And I think that like just that idea of like paradigm shift is hopefully the objective, and hopefully how the UX should carry this idea. But if I were to think about making a transaction, we can go ahead and we can make a transaction and it'll be fine. But then what we want to be able to do again is to have a little bit more information, because now we know what your average spend price is, right? So we can say on this transaction, this is actually going to be 10% lower than your average. And then when we send this, we can also tell you, hey, you save 15 sats in this purchase, and this transaction is made at like a net 7% discount, but it's a net 7% discount relative to your personal position. And the same would work, and the same would kind of apply for receiving as well, right? So the idea is that we are able to always, yes, color code whether or not it's a stack or it's a spend, but also we're able to kind of have this icon-driven approach that allows the UX to deposition the price being the important thing and whether or not it's good to stack or spend, but also to give the user a little bit more information on their confirmation screen so that they can make a slightly more informed decision relative to whether or not they want to be stacking or spending sats in the long term. Because I think that this is a product that was kind of envisioned for people who are working in the long term, and I think that that's like probably everybody in this call. But yeah, that's our idea. We just wanted to kind of get our feet wet with something, and this felt like a good move.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for presenting. Ken, was that a question?
No, I just don't know how to use Jitsi.
Okay, yeah. No, it happens quite a bit where I've seen it a lot where people try to do the clap and then just raise their hands. All good. It's a UX problem. Maybe they should fix that one. Okay, cool. Thank you for presenting. Let's try to hop on straight to the next one, which is, I can go next with the Bitcoin for Kids app. I think Daniel put tabs in here.
Thank you.
Daniel.
Yeah. Let me also share my screen. Okay. And I'm going to jump over to Figma. So I'm representing the group that worked on a app for kids. So it was me, Abradacabra, Shalom, and Johnny. So I pulled something together quickly, and this is kind of a synthesization of many, many ideas of what could be good for kids. But the quick summary is it's an app for children as young as probably 4 or 5, up to perhaps preteen or teen, and we've designed it to be almost devoid of text, so that children don't have to worry about reading English and whatnot. But the idea is also that this is connected to a family node, which gives the parents some overview of and kind of control of the kids' spending abilities, and also enables kind of connecting between the family members. So let me just run through the prototype quickly. It's obviously very scaled back. Just a play button and you get into the wallet, and it only has really 3 things going for it: balance, adding Bitcoin, and some stuff behind here. So imagine I would like to request some Bitcoin from my parents, my mom or my dad. They kind of can be pre-programmed in here, or I can obviously just show my QR code to someone who wants to give me a little bit of money. If I click on the balance here, we get a little kind of different way of showing them that. So you can play around with it. The idea would also be that you could theme this and click on the background, change colors and stuff to let the kids do something other than stack and spend. And behind this little man here, we have again 3 buttons without text. So the idea is you would have to play around a bit to figure out what they do, but clearly this one here is, okay, my stack is going to go down. I can again send money back to my mom or my dad if I want to spend something, or I can scan a QR code to spend, and if I did that, the parents would have to approve the transaction. And otherwise, yeah, there's just a little bit of information here about what the app actually does for the parents, and you can also then connect it to the family node and set some security settings. So that's basically it, what we've done. Very basic app for kids and their families.
I like that that you said and their families, because I would like to use that for myself.
Okay. Cool. So who's keen to present next? I think Rodoy raised his hand. Is that correct?
I can,
Wait.
but I just want to be sure that there's nobody behind before me.
We were like,
Yeah,
we were
hold
kind
on.
of.
Yeah.
Feel free,
Yeah, I was
Rodoy.
gonna say we have Stephen, then
Steven,
Alex
yes.
K, then AgriMint, and then Mark. If I saw that correctly in the
Yeah,
comments.
Steven, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we started lining up in the chat.
It's too fast for me. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah. Let me just see. My computer's being a little laggy because I'm doing the record at the same time. But let me just see if I can get a screen share going here. Okay. Oh, we'll just share Figma. Why not? Oh, no. There we go. All right, cool. So can everybody see my Figma screen okay?
Now, yes, looks good.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, so the project I worked on is called StableMint, and I know there's already AgriMint is kind of working on in a similar space here, but we kind of arrived at a similar idea independently, and so we have just two teams exploring similar things. So yeah, this isn't, I don't really have like a full UI built out, but I can kind of show you some of our thinking. The basic gist is we wanted to work on a community banking solution that would allow the user to transact with both USD as well as Bitcoin. And kind of like the problem we're trying to solve is that Bitcoin's a volatile asset. So this is kind of in harsh contrast to the first project that presented here. In my opinion, Bitcoin's price volatility is actually an incredible UX problem. It's one thing here in the US where we're like, oh, hey, I just want to, stack and hodl. But if you want to talk about Bitcoin as like sort of a way of banking the unbanked, and solving remittance problems for people in developing nations and stuff, it starts to become a tougher sell to where if you stored your monthly spending in Bitcoin and then, a very minor price decrease could harm your ability to pay your bills that month. So I think it's I personally love stacking and hodling, but I think that for using it as a banking solution, it's a UX problem. So we kind of started this a little bit differently. We actually started this in real life at a TabConf Builder Day. That's our Bitcoin conference here in Atlanta. We had a Bitcoin design table, and I guess about 8 to 10 people showed up for the table. And so we did some kind of design thinking exercises, throwing up stickies on the wall. The pink stickies were problems we have. The orange stickies were things we're interested in learning about. The blue stickies were, these kind of like dream solutions, like forget about the how we're going to do it so much as like what would be the dream idea. And the idea of, building banking solutions for developing nations and also just kind of, in an overwhelming interest in tarot were kind of common things. So kind of combined those into this project idea about trying to build something that could, theoretically use both Fediment and tarot to create this banking solution with a stabilized asset. We continued work here at our Bitcoin hackerspace Terminus. Honestly, spent way more time just brainstorming and philosophizing with people than actually designing user interfaces. So that's kind of what you get. So we started thinking about like the kind of users we're going to build it for. We started imagining, okay, it could be a fictional, town in El Salvador, and something similar to Bitcoin Beach if you want to think about it. But basically, this place that has this tourist attraction because of all the natural beauty. There's a local area network, some kind of rudimentary internet access, and people are going to be using the dollar for their daily spending. And we started mapping out like different people in this community and just trying to identify like different user groups and how they might interact with it. We got Jorge, the hostel owner. So he's a business owner. He's always looking for creative ways to, grow his business with technology. And probably the most tech savvy user that we have here. And then we have Lucas, a tour guide, a little bit younger, 24-year-old, has a smartphone, knows how to get by, knows how to send text messages and, download apps off the App Store. He's not really a tech savvy person, but he knows how to get by with his phone. And then we have Carmen, who owns a tienda in the community. So she's pretty well networked within the community, has, vendors and stuff that she's been, relying on for years for, supplying her store, but doesn't really use digital technology, relies on the rest of her family to interact with tech, and really gets by with cash, paper dollars on a day-to-day basis. So we started, drawing out some, sketching in terms of how these people would interact with it. Jorge is probably actually the one who is instrumental for getting StableMint set up in his community. And, he would go through kind of a Guardian setup flow. I'm dropping some, Fedimint terminology here, and I'll get more on that in a second. But, there would be an interface where someone like Jorge could actually set up the federation for his community. So click new, I want to start a new federation, and then it would give him a little bit of connection string that he could share with other people in his community who want to be federation guardians. And, it would give this kind of setup flow for their federation. And then there would be this app that would get deployed to the App Store. So really, theoretically, anybody in the world could download it. You're probably not going to trust this federation as much if you don't live in this community. So really, the only people who are probably going to want to download it are people who live in this community. For anyone who's not aware, Fedimint is basically this solution that allows a community with like a set of guardians to be able to custody the Bitcoin for their community and issue out private eCash that is kind of like an IOU on the Bitcoin. So it's not as awesome as self-custody, but you could argue that it's way better than like having, Coinbase custody it for you, right? So, someone like Lucas would download it off the App Store. They have the little screenshot slider on the App Store. They download it, downloads with all their other apps, opens up the StableMint wallet, clicks the new wallet button, types in his email, and then it lets him create his first USD wallet. And, it just has this kind of default name, my USD wallet. But, Lucas could change that if you wanted to. And then it gives you your default send screen that lets you, type in an amount and send and receive Bitcoin. Lucas can, scan somebody else's QR code, and all of the federation logic happens in the background. But basically, when Lucas requests dollars from somebody, it comes up and lets him know that he's been paid. Really kind of what we're trying to do is align these incentives here. We spent a lot of time just kind of thinking about how this like stability would actually work. You've got these kind of different classes of people with different interests. The users, they want to transact with dollars. They want easier remittances, more flexible financial services. They want protection from Bitcoin price volatility. The Guardians maintain the Fedimint Federation for their community, but they're also kind of users within their own federation. And, ideally, they're going to be held accountable by people in their community, but also the Lightning Network gateways that, allow them to transact with other federations outside their community. And then we have this other kind of class, which I'll get to in a little bit here, which are the investors. And they're the people that provide the capital, which helps the federation maintain the stability of this USD asset. So this enables them to provide stability to users without the federation having to resort to like more common banking practices like lending and rehypothecation and things like that. So basically, they provide stability to the users, and when the price of Bitcoin goes up, the investors, end up profiting off of that. But the basic gist is we were trying to like think about like how this would work in terms of providing this stability. And like one kind of way would be this kind of like strike model where you've got Federation A and Federation B. These could be in two different geographies, and you've got the Federation users, Alice and Bob. And the basic gist here is that the Federation kind of has, the Guardians collectively, custody Bitcoin. And so if they want to issue federated eCash to represent Satoshis, they could custody 100,000 sats, and then they could issue 100,000, or I guess that's 100 million, my bad. They could custody 100 million sats and then issue 100 million eCash sats to represent that. But if they want to represent USD, they could be like, okay, we want to insulate our community against a 50% price drop. So we're actually going to custody $200,000 worth of Bitcoin, but issue only $100,000 worth of, federated US dollars, whatever you want to call this asset. And this same federation could do the same thing over here, but they actually might have a different monetary policy. They may say, well, we want to be like super, even more conservative. We want to, insulate down to like a even more dramatic price drop. So they could keep even more collateral. And this is what I call the kind of strike model, is that if Alice wants to send $10 to Dina over here, there's not really this common asset between the two. It gets converted into Bitcoin, goes through the Lightning Network, and then gets received, to Dina on the other end as this federation's federated dollar, if that makes sense. So it all is interoperable over the Lightning Network, and it's up to each federation to determine how they want to handle the dollar stability. But then we start thinking, well, okay, what if you wanted a more common asset? And then we start thinking, well, what if you have this federation that could mint a Taro asset, and kind of control this Taro universe? And in a similar way, they could, over collateralize the Bitcoin that backs this Taro dollar. And then you suddenly have this interoperable asset, this Taro dollar, that can be sent over the Lightning Network once, Lightning Labs ships all that stuff. At this point, I really need to cancel this out, because what they're really doing is they're really custodying, instead of custodying 100,000 worth of, they don't have to worry about, basically what I'm trying to get is the federations don't have to worry about over collateralizing their Bitcoin. They can just custody on their balance sheet this Taro USD. And so that's the basic gist. And we were just kind of like spent a lot of time debating, like, what is the better model? Like, what's the better trust model for this kind of stuff? Do you want one federation that kind of manages this stabilized asset, or should that be more in the hands of the local community federations? And we spent a lot of time just kind of debating the different trust models, like what's the best size for a federation? What prevents a federation from becoming really, really large and really, really centralized, and yada, yada. And it was, fascinating conversation. I don't really have a user interface to show for it, but, we had a good time. So I don't know. That's what I got.
Up next, I believe it's like, hey.
Hi, everybody. Let me share my screen. Something went wrong with my screen sharing permissions. That's unfortunate. Let me see. All right, does somebody else want to go, and I'll figure out what's wrong with my permissions?
All right, I can go instead of one of you first. I hope that my permission is like okay. All right, so then I'll start sharing, and maybe I can start with the fact that I saw basically that you must be seeing my screen, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Right, so I will present from Figma, and yeah, so we basically started 12 days ago, but actually that was just the idea 12 days ago. And then actually more or less a week ago, or a week or a couple of days ago, I first posted the idea, or the set of ideas, on Bolt Fun for the Legends of Lightning tournament. And we kind of quickly gathered some team of people who liked the idea and started working on the Designathon. For the Designathon, it was me and the Vidushi. Unfortunately, she got sick, and I was working most of the time on my own, but of course discussing also with the team for the Legends of Lightning and lots of other folks who are contributing with the feedback. So what are the problems we're tackling? So practically there are three key things. First of all, and something that's pretty well known worldwide, traditionally sub-Saharan Africa have pretty limited access to financial services. In the more recent years, they have started to have these mobile money providers, basically telcos, who add money functionality or financial functionality in their with their services. However, they're still limited, and most African countries actually have this situation with very bad monetary policy and therefore high inflation, and that's been running for decades. So actually, most people are currently more familiar and maybe comfortable with the US dollar rather than Bitcoin, because for them, Bitcoin is something new, but also something that is volatile. And then we have another thing that is happening, that is communities traditionally have organized within this informal savings and loans groups. And this has been running for maybe hundreds of years. There are some historical accounts from hundreds of years ago. But these are mostly like, basically, I'll show you in a bit, like, you know, they're saving some cash in metal boxes, and this creates some physical challenges, security challenges for their savings. What was the process? So practically, of course, pitching initially the idea on Bolt Fund, gathering the team and starting to research. By the way, we started from scratch, so that's kind of my field of work is related to Bitcoin inclusion, but not particularly on this idea. This idea came actually very recently, and then we started researching with users that we knew, but also knew people in the mainly Bitcoiners in Africa, because they were the most, of course, open to provide feedback. And we researched some competitors that are providing solutions for informal or community financial group management. Started some research in the technology. I think that was very similar to what Steven said, like pediments. And we actually also went onto the hardware side, researching some cheap hardware wallet options and also stablecoin options. Then wireframing and user testing, of course, designing presentations today. And then what's next? We'll continue, of course, building during the Legends of Lightning tournament. So what I'm showing you today will be built. This is the good news. And I'll be happy, of course, to continue building with the team there. So here's the research that we did. So what you can see here is basically a photo of people in these local community informal groups. This, in this case, called Village Loans and Savings Associations. They're gathering on a regular basis, use this kind of metal box. They have 3 keys, really, literally 3 keys with 3 locks for these boxes. Very similar to the Bitcoin space. So we thought actually it's a great way to maybe, tell them in a different way how they can do this. We also reviewed different SACO manuals and so on. And of course, one great example that inspires us is Machankura, the Lightning wallet over so-called USSD. This is basically a feature phone which can give you access to Lightning Network. It's amazing. And that's what inspired some of our design thinking here. And I'll show you how exactly. We also reviewed different competitor solutions. Most of them are really kind of sophisticated web-based management tools that I would say are not so simple to use. In fact, they're like more or less for advanced community banks. So yeah, this is the feedback that we got. And during the user testing, we had different type of feedback regarding the need for local champions or community trusted people for the localization. Local language, there are basically hundreds of local languages. I'm not sure that if not thousands of local languages in Africa. So there's a lot of variety. And of course, there's some need maybe for local exchanges, like peer-to-peer, because many of the countries are limiting access to such, modern financial instruments. There's a lack of smartphones in the rural population, and also, offering multiple currencies, including US dollar and Bitcoin, could be a challenge, both due to the people's local currency, but also due to some regulations and restrictions. And we came up first with something that is not a software actually per se a design, which is the box. We call that the box. So this is the box. It's an AgriMint is basically shipped as a box that has practically three things inside. We have 3 cheap mobile phones, like this is Android cheap mobile phones. We have 3 cheap hardware wallets. And when I say cheap, that kind of wallet can be acquired. It's not actually a wallet. It's actually a general purpose microcontroller, which can be acquired for something like less than $15. And this is quite a good thing, because obviously we don't want to make an expensive set of equipment that we ship to these people. So we want to do it in a very cheap way. So that's our kit. And then, of course, local language guides together with this, what you see. And then there are 2 main things. We need to set up the federation that is part of the StableMint concept. I will show you a quick prototype. So the idea is for the community leaders, or the community most, let's say, trusted people, to be the guardians of the federation. So what they need to do is to create a new mint. They go with creating their personal profile, and then creating a federation name, inviting other guardians. In our case, we need basically to have 3 guardians, and that's the list here. And these guardians go through a key setup in order to set up a 2 of 3 multi-sig, basically. So we use these cheap hardware wallets to provide the public key, and we connect them all together. I can send a reminder to the other 2 members or guardians, and they can set up their keys as well. So that completes the process, and this is the deposit that should happen on this Bitcoin multi-sig address. And when we do this, now it's time to set up a Lightning gateway, which will be the gateway to move money in and out in a cheap way. And we set it up as well. It's part of the process, and we deposit a little bit of sats there to make liquidity for the in and out. We pay this, and voila, it's all done. So now we can invite the other members again with their phone numbers, and we invite them. And here we are now in our dashboard. So the dashboard shows the total mint balance in US dollars, some information about the guardians and members, some project. We can apply for some project to fund our activity from outside, or basically use our funds to fund the projects of one or multiple members, because these are current groups are actually loans, savings and loans associations, so they can save together but also lend to each other. We can see basically the dollar, but also we can access the Satoshi or Sat or Bitcoin balance. So there are 2 balances practically. It's a multi-currency thing. And yeah, I would say that's it more or less from this side. But what are the actual members seeing is the USSD interface. So this is, I'm not showing you a feature phone because that's a Figma prototype, but this can be viewed also from a feature phone, as you saw on the Machankura app. And so basically it's an onboarding process. The user can set their PIN, and now they can access the different options, seeing their balance, sending a payment, receiving a payment, and so on. So we can see the balance. We can see the history of the different accounts, so US dollar and Satoshi again. And then we can also make a payment. Let's try to send a payment. We can make a payment in sats, so we can send 1,000 sats. We can send it to a phone number, a Lightning address, or internal user in the Mint. So we decide in this case to send that to a Lightning address, so an LN URL. Input the PIN, and we send the payment. And the last thing is to show basically receiving a payment with in Satoshis again. We can basically send this to a personalized Lightning address, or generate a QR code, which is shown somewhere as a link. So yeah, that's it more or less from our team AgriMint. I think we are now going to this picture. I'll not tell you more, but this is the development part, and yeah, we'll be building during the Lightning Legends of Lightning tournament.
Awesome. Thank you so much, by the way. And Alex, how did you fare with setting up your permissions?
I think I should be good. I had to switch browsers. Let's see. All right, you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah, all good.
Oh. Okay. You guys can see the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, hi everybody, I'm Alex. New to Bitcoin open source. Been learning about Bitcoin and Lightning for a while though, so excited to get involved. I've been working with Moritz and Eddie on thinking through the possibility of adding a contacts list to Alby, and Alby is the the Lightning browser extension. And for a little bit of context, now that we have Lightning addresses, it kind of makes it easier to connect your identity with Lightning payments, which if you choose to do, right? Because the good thing about Lightning payments is that the baseline is that they're private, but there's a lot of useful stuff that can be done if you want to attach your Lightning address to your payments. And one of those things is contacts lists. I think even some of the projects that were already presented had some UX around that. So yeah, we were just thinking through some of what the design would look like to add this to Alby. So Alby currently saves websites, and I can show you here. So we can see the websites that you've used Alby at, and then within each website, you can see your transaction history. So at a high level, the contacts design would be fairly similar to this. You would have a list of your contacts, you'd have a tab here, and within each contact page, you would see the history between you and that person. And another thing we were thinking about is that this could be useful for people that you know, but it could also be useful for, say, like a creator that you interact with online or just somebody that you follow. You might just want to have their Lightning address kind of saved somewhere conveniently if there's someone that you pay frequently. So this would be the rough mock for the overall contacts tab. You can see here we have the list, and you can have favorites if you'd like. At the top, we have your personal profile with edit and export buttons that I'll get into. And then for the contact list, there's an import button and an add button. So within the list, if you click on one of these arrows to go into the page for that individual person, you would see their profile. If there's a photo or name associated with it, you would see that, as well as any other links, and the transaction history, as I mentioned before. To start, we would probably only be able to store history for payments that you've sent to Lightning addresses because you don't know where they're incoming from. But I think over time, there's probably solutions that can develop to also have the incoming done for those who want to show where payments are coming from. So for example, like on the Fountain app, it'll in the memo, the app will send that it's from Fountain and that and the username of the person who sent you the tip. So maybe over time some things will develop where you can also see incoming payments from people. We also discussed this idea of a profile. So the fundamental thing you would save would be a Lightning address associated with somebody, but you might also want to save information such as their name, a photo. For people like creators, they might want to have like their Lightning address packaged with a YouTube link or a Twitter link, etc. And Eddie knew about this thing called a V-card. It's basically an open standard for packaging profile information. There's all kinds of info you can put into this VCF file. It can be a photo, your name, and any number of links. So that would include a Lightning address. And yeah, so the idea would be that if you want, you can create a profile for yourself, and then using this VCF file, you can send it to other people, and someone else would be able to import it. And it could be either through Alby or some other application would be able to import that VCF file. So if we go back to the overall page, that would be from this edit button. You'd be able to create your profile, add whatever information you want, and save that. and then you'd also be able to export that information. So you could export it as a VCard, or it's also a QR code, and you could be able to export the JPEG of the QR code. So some like potential use cases of this would be someone on Twitter, for example, having this link in their bio, or if you just meet somebody or somebody that you know, you can just send them this file, and they'll be able to add you as a contact on their side. And the last part of this is how you would add contacts. So one would be just to import the vCard, as we just discussed. You could also add manually and add from a payment. So I'll go through those. So if we go back to the first page, this is the import button for the vCard, and then this would be the ability to add a contact manually. So yeah, as I mentioned before, someone would send you this BCF file or the JPEG of the QR code, and you would be able to just import it here. And then that would just autofill the whole contact list for you. Or you could manually add somebody, you know, if you have their Lightning address, then you want to store their name, if you know their name, for easier lookup in the future. Rather than typing in their Lightning address, you could type in their name, and you would be able to just access it easier for payments. You could have this page here. And then the last way is if you're sending payments to a Lightning address, within that payment, you would have the option to just add that contact. Like if you're sending sats multiple times to hello@getalby, then it would be useful to just be able to immediately add that contact there for the future. And again, in the beginning, this is only going to be possible for outgoing payments to Lightning addresses. And you know, if this is a contact that you've already added, then this perhaps would be like a go to contact page, right? And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. There were a couple raised hands. I assume those were also trying to clap. Otherwise, please let me know. And then I think Mark is next.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. How are we doing? Okay, share screen. There we go. Everyone able to see?
Yep.
Cool.
All good.
So thank you very much, Christoph and Mo and the design community, the Bitcoin design community, for enabling this. So we are here with Andrew today to present a really niche project. LNDg is an existing platform for node management. And at the moment, he has really poor UI. And both of us are really into the node management. We are, let's say, beginners. And we wanted to have a better experience using this tool. We believe that it's, let's say, an anomaly in the market and compared with other tools. And that's why we're here to present them a new UI for this tool. So starting with me, I am Mark, and yeah, I'm a designer. So you're going to see a bit of design here. And yeah, I leave it to Andrew to present himself.
Yep. Hi, I'm Andrew. I'm a PM, and yeah, look forward to showing you our work. So if we go to the next slide, as Mark was saying, LNDg is a really useful tool for node management and automation, but its user experience could be improved. Right now, it's really good at providing a lot of detail, like everything you could need plus more for managing your routing flows and nodes. But a problem when you think about trying to improve the accessibility of LNDg to more people is that for non-technical people, it's a very high bar. There's a lot of information displayed, and for the information displayed, it's pretty unclear on what action you're supposed to take for managing your node. So when we think about
yeah, basically when we think about the personas that are enabling today it's doing a pretty good job of that more technical user group. But in terms of for non-technical, there's definitely room for improvement. So if you go to the slide 6, one of the things we spent some time on was thinking about the personas that we're enabling. So, you know, and basically they're the two primary ones. So a Lightning tech tinkerer, somebody that, you know, doesn't have enough, they want to have complete transparency. That's sort of the power user of the Lightning network. They want to see everything. They value transparency. They value reliability. They have a fear of, you know, not wanting anything to be abstracted away from them. And then the Lightning noob is, I'm trying to run a bank out of my house, having a Bitcoin address and a Lightning address. What does that mean? How do I rebalance? Rebalance for what reason? Like all of those things are, you know, as I'm sure many of you know, it's difficult when you're going up that knowledge curve. So we wanted to see if we could improve for that second persona while retaining all the functionality that the tech tinkerer loves. So we did it, you know, throughout the design sprint. We went through a lot of different phases here. And Mark, do you want to talk about the user research?
Thanks, Andrew. So basically, the first thing we did was analyze the current user base that is 95% technical people and people that understand the Lightning network and how it works and what needs to be done through this interface to optimize the settings for the automation, let's say, of the node management. So we ran some surveys. We understand what these people was currently doing, what the tool, and we try to give an interface for it. So we go through understanding which kind of data they are looking on the screen, because at the moment there is a lot of data, and try to understand the current user flows and translate it in a easier way for newbie users. After that, we go into the benchmarking, comparative.
Yeah. So and for the Lightning node, thinking through, okay, essentially you're running your own bank. Is there anything inspiration in other banking apps that we could take to help simplify the user experience for managing channels and nodes? So we looked at a lot of different banks from around the world, and then also did competitive research. Which, Mark, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, what the current competitors.
Mm-hmm.
They are not really competitors, but yeah, they are similar tools that provide, let's say, an interface for node management. We have, probably everyone know LNDg. They is basically accessible just by SSH, by terminal. We have, let's say, Lightning terminal that provide a really nice interface with really nice functionalities, and we basically make an average of what's currently in the market compared with LNDg. LNDg is currently overtaking the rest just because it proposes automation behind the hood. So we started with analyzing, okay, how we can translate this existing user flow in something more digestible for the newbie users, and we go into the crazy eight exercise and try to mock up functionalities, user flow, and interaction with a new screens, empty screen. And that's how we go into the current prototype, the new prototype. I would like to show you let's see if I can have it here. I want to show the existing interface as well. Let's see if I can find it. I think no. Okay, I'll leave it for later. But it's really hot, it's really technical. There is a lot of data there. So the first thing on the onboarding we did was try to define and ask the user a few questions to identify him as which kind of user it's gonna be using this tool. And let's say I am a new user without experience. At the end of the day, yes, I'm running my node, but I want to use my node to be financially independent. And that's why the only thing I want to see is my asset allocation, how much I have in the Bitcoin wallet, how much I have in the Lightning wallet, how I am spending, how I'm receiving these assets. And yeah, just having an overview and current cash flow account, basically, or the node. There is not too much functionality here. Obviously, you're gonna be able to see the wallet, interact with it, sending and receiving, and a setting page where you're gonna be able to just define option for the interface. When we go instead as an advanced user, there is much more there, more related with the node automation and node interaction. And I'm not sure how much the audience know about node management, but there is a lot of things to consider. There is a lot to learn as well from a node management side. You need to know what rebalance is, what is for, and like this, we need to know what is a peer and how you can manage the relation with your peer to co-manage the same channel together. We integrated like this channel behavior. Obviously, you cannot be connected and in touch with all your peers. So we have, let's say, build this functionality to understand, okay, what's the channel behavior, what's how the person in the other side, in the other node is managing their node. And we have nodes that are basically managed to do profit, and we call it sinks. And this can be an issue for your node, for your channel, because they are taking all the liquidity from your channel and bringing it in their side. We have routers that basically the only thing they do is enable transaction to flow through their node. And we have sources. They are the nodes that actually provide liquidity to the network. They are happy providing this liquidity. We try to define a logic to understand what's the best channel performer and how we can, let's say, improve the relation with this node, for example, and a lot of other, let's say, functionality they are already there. Understanding, for example, what's the inactive channel, why is inactive, is because my node is doing something wrong or because it's the other side node doing something wrong. So just try to give transparency about what's going on inside the node. And yeah, give this amazing tool a better way to be promoted to newbie users, not just for technical users. So that was pretty much us. And just continuing on the presentation, we want definitely to continue building this this interface. So we want to enter in the building phase through the Legend of Lightning. We have already documented most of the process there, and we create a backlog with stuff that, from our perspective, should be developed and added to the interface. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone. If you want to ask any question, just be in touch. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Very nicely done, Mark. It's been really great watching you guys. We have George up next, if I have that correctly. So George, feel free to present.
Hi there, everyone. Can you see the screen now?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Hi, everyone. Our project was the Bitcoin education. And this is the team, me and Saeed, and Renato, who worked as the copywriter, and Toba, who joined us as a designer. And we, as newcomers, came to this project and sort of new to Bitcoin. We kind of approached it with kind of an idea of how to approach, here are the project goals: introduce next generation to Bitcoin and managing money. And we really wanted to make an application that was appropriate for all ages and explore different scenarios and see how far we can take them. This is we started with a competitive analysis, and this is where we started comparing a crypto educational app, and we decided to make comparisons with popular language apps and to just Duolingo and memorize, and we were sort of analyzing their strengths and weaknesses and the pricing and so forth, and the languages, and also many of their features. And then we came to, this is a flow diagram of, this is when we're sort of thinking of how we might lay out the flow. So the user would select a topic they wanted to use and select the lesson, begin the lesson, and they would slide through the screens, progress through the lesson, and then they would hit a mid-lesson question, which they would answer, and then progress through and finish the lesson to the end. And we started sort of building out the design system, and we started considering many of the typography, and we landed on the Satoshi font. And we also went with a rubric for the headings. We felt it complemented the Satoshi for the body, and began to build out the design system and start to put together the prototypes. We started working like a low fidelity first. This was like the onboarding screens where the user would log in and this would show the information. And also this is the first kind of demo of the low fidelity wireframes, as this demonstrates how the user would take the lesson and how it might look. Here's the interface. So they've already completed this unit. They kind of understood about the money, and they're starting the Bitcoin lessons. They select this lesson, and we have the image here. And it's kind of a brief introduction to Bitcoin. So this is kind of to get them started on the topic. And here's like instructions of how to progress through. And the user can swipe through like this, and they progress through the lesson. Until they get to like a mid-lesson question, so they can select and say submit the answer. And yes, Bitcoin was created in 2009, and that's a test end. And then we started to move on to some high fidelity prototypes. So again, these are the onboarding screens. I was playing with like a sort of brand identity and kind of the logo. I think maybe it wasn't quite working. And then Toba came up with this really lovely kind of way to onboard, so the user can select the whichever they would use to onboard and sign up. And here is like the onboarding screens where they would swipe through. Now here's kind of an example. We're kind of playing with different designs and just kind of playing with it. We were kind of going through a kind of new brutalism kind of style, which was kind of new to us all. So it was kind of a interesting exploration of that. Challenging as well. And here is the high fidelity lesson screens. And where the user would start, and here's kind of an example. It was kind of difficult. I don't think I really kind of succeeded with getting the visuals to match up with the content here, but I think it kind of conveys how a lesson would work. And yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very Okay.
Okay, cool, nice, well done. So if I have it correctly, we have Porto next from Gift.cash. Looking forward to seeing you presenting, Porto.
Hi everyone, I'm Porto, and I'm going to present you guys the Gift.cash project. We are on the Legends of Lightning tournament as well. And our idea is to make it easy for businesses and individuals to give away Bitcoin. We understand some companies give away gift cards to their employees, and a lot of times they even pay users like to respond a survey in the form of a gift card. So we want to solve this problem. Regarding the team, it's me and Gustavo. Gustavo is here in the call.
Hi everyone.
We both code. We love to think of user experience, and we love tackling interesting problems. And we were really trying to find a designer to help us with the UI, but we didn't find anyone to help, so we had to do it ourselves. On the first week, I'm going to show you guys a little bit about what we have done. Let me share my screen here. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool. All right. So on the very first week, we created the Fig Jam, where we were brainstorming personas and thinking about what should we tackle in form of the problem. So we were changing a lot the value proposition until we decided finally the idea to work on. So then we started working on a Figma file to the overall user experience. This is the basic user experience. I'll go into the details later on. So in this very first week, we defined a name, which was Gift.cash. We purchased a domain, and we also deployed a very simple web page. We can show you guys over here, just a very simple web page showing the value proposition that we are trying to tackle. And the second week, I guess, was the most fun part. As I told you guys, we tried really hard to recruit a designer to help us with the UI. I even tried to do some high fidelity layouts in Figma, but I'm not a designer myself. So we purchased a UI template to help us build the interface. So we built the interface that I'm going to show you guys on top of this template. So literally 6 days ago, we started this new project, and now 190 commits after. I'm going to show you guys what we have. So this is live, our staging application. I'll send you guys the link after this presentation. I would love if you guys could test it out. And this is mainly front-end stuff. We didn't do much of the back-end part, so it's not connected to the Lightning Network yet. But I would love to get feedback because we thought about many different edge cases. So you log in, you go to the dashboard, and I'm going. By the way, the whole application is fully responsive. So we've worked really hard to make sure our users are going to have a full experience in mobile or also on the web on all the screens. So I'll start with the basics. The basics is the gift card itself. So here I have the list of gift cards. I can create a new gift card, for example, amount in Satoshis and an email. And I'll create the gift card. Here I have a few options. I see here that the gift card is created, and I can share it with the recipient via email, for example. Just click send. The recipient is going to receive this gift card. I can password protect the gift card, or so I put a passcode to protect the gift card. add an expiry date or a custom message to this gift card. I'm going to show you how the interaction works for the user receiving the gift card. So this user received a gift card from Alice, which is 100 sats. The user can redeem it below. So this is the gift card. This is LN URL withdraw QR code, the LN URL withdraw link here. And there is a small FAQ here, which is still work in progress. We have not done it yet. That the user can learn what is Bitcoin, what is Satoshi, what is, how do I withdraw, which wallet should I download, things like that. And we have done just as a test only redeem, and then the gift card is redeemed. So we've done all the screens, like so this gift card is redeemed. So if the user refreshes the page, I can see here that this gift card was redeemed. I can go back here and see all of the gift cards that were created, and this one that I've just created. But where Gift.cash really shines is regarding the campaigns. So campaigns are made to be like, you can create campaigns and distribute as many Bitcoin gift cards as you want in bulk. So for example, I have here a Christmas giveaway campaign, a marketing survey, or like an employee engagement campaign, or for example, a campaign to everyone that passed through our booth on Bitcoin conference. I can create a new campaign here, and I choose a name for this campaign, Bitcoin design presentation. I can set a budget in Satoshis to this campaign and an amount for each gift card that was given on this campaign. I have advanced options here that I can set a passcode, an expiry date, or a custom note. I create this campaign, and I can now generate gift cards to this campaign. So I can copy a list of emails and paste it over here, and then the system is going to create a list of gift cards in bulk. So the idea is to make it easy for people, for example, to copy a string of emails from MailChimp, paste it over here, and then our software is going to create the gift cards for everyone on this email and send it to them. Yeah, this is the campaign part. We have also a dashboard that shows a little bit about everything. And also, of course, we have the wallet here where you can add funds. We put a button here to add funds as the test only, just so we can work with stuff in the application. The user can withdraw funds over here as well. And there is also the list of transactions. It's pretty much fully, we thought about all of the screens. And ultimately, as we want to serve businesses, we want businesses to interact with our application through an API. The API, of course, is going to be released later, but we have to have a UI for the users to interact with it as well. So I guess pretty much that's it. I would love to receive feedback, so I will drop the link of our staging application in the Jitsi chat. You guys can reach us out on the channel, on the Slack channel, or also on my Twitter. I think that's it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you so much, Porto. I think next up, Michael.
Yeah, let's try this unmuting thing. I think I hope it works, and I hope the video is working. And now let's check if Figma is working as well. So I hope you guys see my presentation, or at least one slide of the presentation. And so the project that we were working on, and by we, I'll explain in the next slide, is we were thinking about Bitcoin inheritance. So how do you actually transfer Bitcoin to your heirs, your kids, your children, when you kick the bucket. And the idea originated, I think you can tell from our pictures. I can't speak for Gene because he's not here. He's in Japan, so he's probably sleeping. He has been doing that to me all week, and I on him. But yeah, at least for my part, I'm in that age where I have to think about these things. Start thinking about my kids, my wife when when I'm not here anymore. So that's basically the motivation that we had to jump on this idea. And when we were thinking about the goals of the project or the solution in general, then we said, of course, it should be easy to transfer Bitcoin, but not everybody will A, know what Bitcoin is, B, be similarly versed, and some of them might not even be born yet. So education is going to be key, and because there's going to be a long time between potentially a long time between when I set up something for my kids and when they're actually going to need it. We're going to have a lot of kind of fail-safe processes and including the demise of the service that we're actually designing. So that's a lot of challenges that we face. So basically, we thought about, okay, what are the major ones? I mean, there are obviously many more, but one of them is definitely that in different regions, different jurisdictions, different cultures, there is basically an unlimited amount of differences that we have to account for. Obviously, like most of the projects that I've heard so far, you don't know about how much the heirs know about Bitcoin or about how it works. Definitely scamming and phishing. If you receive a message from somebody that claims to be your dad and he sends you Bitcoin, I mean, I don't know how many times I've sent Vitalik 500 ETH because I think he should send me 1,000 back. And maybe one of the most important ones is the last one. It can be a long time before the trigger fires. I mean, I set it up now. I'm in my 20s, but there may be multiple decades from the time that I set the inheritance up to the time it's actually being used. So we started actually by thinking about what is the overall user journey, and not only from the hodler, as we call him, but also from the heir. So basically we have about 4 phases. You could probably divide them up differently, but one is kind of an education or a learning phase where I have to find out for myself within my circumstances what is actually the setup that I should be taking. It depends on, do I have hardware wallets? Do I have only, am I only mobile? I think for people that like the AgriMint project was talking about, this is completely different from a setup that we have maybe here in Europe or in the US. So that's basically one part. Help me decide how I should set this up so that it's safe. Then you have to actually set up all of these things. You have to, and phase 3, that's probably the longest phase time-wise. You have to keep something running for a very long time. And kind of the last phase is, maybe the word execution is not the best word to use here, but I mean, me as the person who leaves their Bitcoin behind, I don't worry about it anymore. My kids have to deal with it. So that's kind of what happens next. So we quickly realized that we have to really limit ourselves for this Designathon, because otherwise we'd go crazy. And it's a much bigger project or a much bigger topic to cover than we can in let's say 10 days. So we thought, okay, what are the kind of the objectives or guiding principles? We want to have them mobile first. Education is going to be a key component for both parties involved. We cannot make any assumptions about the knowledgeableness of the users. And we definitely have to keep the design scope limited and focus on core features rather than kind of tweaking the UI too much. So that's we had to leave out a couple of things for this. But then it was really straightforward. We just came up with the perfect solution, and that was it. So threw away a couple of things, and rather than just going through slides, I'm also going to show a prototype that we put together. And let me know if you guys see a very old school iPhone, not the cool new ones. Okay, seems to be okay. All right. So basically, we limited ourselves to not going overboard and designing splash screens, but basically a user would who has some Bitcoin would fire up the app. We would, like you're used to, would guide them through a couple of onboarding screens just to kind of set the context. And at the end of that, kind of prepare them. Okay, what's really next? Okay, I create a pin. Nice. Know that from other apps as well. Create my pin, re-enter as usual, and basically the first thing I see is kind of an overview screen, which is very empty because I don't have any heirs or inheritance plans set up yet. But I also see a couple of tabs here because we said before you actually want to create an inheritance plan for my family, I might want to learn about Bitcoin. I'm going to show that in a bit. I might need some guidance on how to set it up. I might want to create a wallet, but we thought about the fact that you might have a hardware wallet set up somewhere and you don't want to actually change this. So the solution should be flexible enough to allow for other options as well. So as you may have noticed in the beginning, we didn't require anybody to create a wallet just to protect the app with a PIN. So this is something that we could probably defer to, let's say, a later point. And obviously some settings, but let's get to the meat of it. If I want to create my first heir or my first inheritance plan, gonna click on it. I'll see a screen that tells me, okay, for who is it? Give them an email so that we can invite them, or where we should send some instructional messages. And this was already one of the topics that we said, okay, emails. People change emails all the time. They get spammed, they get phished. We probably will need to research other options as well. But for now, we had to keep it simple. We would say, okay, give your email. How much would you want to leave them? And the idea being you could denominate in Bitcoin, in sats, or even in percentages of your total balance. And then we thought about the concept of it. Okay, how do you actually set up this entire process? So we would have to have a mechanism that gives me the control, checks whether I'm still alive, and if I am, then nothing happens. So we call this proof of life. which you could set up on your own in different intervals. How many days should we wait for a response to that message? And you could also set up different reminders, as many as you want, but basically to make it more complete. And then we ask about how would you like to distribute your funds, either through a message that just gets sent to your air, or we thought about automating this through a kind of an automatic spend to a wallet. But if we go here from the for the first use case, we just say, okay, compose a message. We would display some best practices that you should skip through. You can always get to them, back to them while you're composing the message. Composing the message and says, okay, that's it. Here's my message that should be sent. Save and activate. And now my first inheritance plan is here. Obviously, I'll be able to edit them. So if I say, okay, I don't want to use a message anymore. I want to send funds directly to a wallet. We will be able to just scan a wallet because my daughter got a wallet in the meantime. Scan this code and update it like that. So in terms of education, what would be cool is kind of have a little tab here to let people actually go through some kind of educational content, not only the hodler, but also the air. And that's kind of the gist of what we've been designing in the last couple of days. Obviously, being mindful of the time, we're not there yet. So there's actually this process really uncovered a lot of questions and things that we would need and would want to research and design further. So all of these fail-safe mechanisms so that we can protect users also from attacks on the service that we would be designing, get more feedback and iterate on UX and design. So that's basically where we are, where we would like to continue. And with that, stay humble, stack sets, my friend. I'm out.
I think next up we have Matt.
Hello, hi everyone. Allow me just one moment to try and share my screen. Okay, that should be it. So I think everyone should be able to see my screen now. Let me know if you don't. Yeah, so basically the project that we thought about has been in relation to a problem that maybe not everyone is facing today, but we will probably be facing in the near future. I myself don't have an electric vehicle, so I don't have this problem. But imagine that we could use Bitcoin to charge our cars by Lightning, to charge our cars or to unlock the chargers or the charging points. Or we would be able to offer the charging point that we have installed on our house, for example, to other people, so that they can charge their cars while they're visiting, for example, from another city. So this is the basic idea of the project. And let's see, the team is comprised of Claudio. He's the creator, he's the developer. Espen, he's been doing a lot of good work kind of piecing technologies together so we can get this off the ground. And then me, I'm just the guy that really likes the pastel colors that I'll probably annoy you with later. So how this started, Basically my experience with electric vehicles has been just from renting, but I've noticed that it's quite difficult to find chargers like when you would need them. So you need to really be mindful about your journey, and also the pricing point is quite high when you're using industrial chargers that you can find in certain areas. So I was speaking with Espen. And he's from Norway, and he actually has an electric car, and he's facing these issues as we speak. And for example, the pricing for charging his car away from home somewhere at an industrial charging point is maybe 5 times higher than would be for him to charge at home. So people could actually monetize, the surplus of energy that they would have at their homes, probably, or the charges that they have. They could offer it as a service so that other people visiting could use those. So these are the problems or the problem points that we want to kind of overcome. And when you're using the applications and systems that are in place at this time, you require a lot of information to give away. You need to log in, create an account, all those things. So we would like to offer a very simple solution where you could just go on a map. You would be presented with a QR code, and you would pay a Lightning invoice to activate a charger. So that is kind of our perspective where we started this from. So the solution involves a few steps. The first step, I guess, which we kind of started here, is to design and build a web app where, as I said, a user would be presented with a map. They would be able to search for charging points nearby, and they would be able to activate them with Lightning. And some other points that we would be looking to actually make this viable later on would be to integrate with a charger manufacturer, for example, so that anyone would be able to, using the said charging point, would be able to connect to the map or list their charging point, and be able to monetize that or offer that charging point to other people that are visiting or need to charge their cars. The third step would be to kind of integrate with an on-off ramp service, because a lot of we would want to offer this to everyone, basically, but a lot of let's say companies, there are a lot of small companies that have set up these charging points, but obviously they only accept fiat. And it probably would be a hustle for them to integrate a whole system for accepting Lightning. So ideally, we would be able to speak with or integrate a service such as Strike or similar, where they would be able to provide this on-off ramp, and the provider of the power would simply just get their fiat, which probably they're interested in. And the last step would be to actually integrate with one of the larger charging service providers. A lot of them, there's one called Easy in Norway. They have APIs available where we can actually kind of tap into those APIs and unlock their chargers. But this is not a solution that all of these providers offer. But this would be the kind of finalization where we'd be able to integrate those services. So the user flow or the user journey for such an application, I guess, would be we would have the user that opens our app, and they would search for and find the charger in the app. Then we would need to generate a Lightning invoice for a deposit that he would be able to put down. Now, don't take every word that I say here about Lightning too hard, because I'm not a master at this thing, and I barely understand what's going on. So there's a caveat there. And after that, the user would pay the invoice and would activate the charger. And he would be able to charge his vehicle up to that, let's say, value of the deposit. So let's say if they pay in £30, they would be able to charge their car up to £30. But the problem arises where maybe I disconnect or I need to go before those £30 kind of use up. So we would need to actually provide a change for the amount that they don't spend there. So this is kind of one of the solutions that we need to refine and think about a little bit better. So we built a simple. Allow me to bring it up. A simple mock-up of the app. Is everyone still able to see okay?
Yeah, looking good.
Okay. So let's hide this. This is the app that we thought about, and it's very simple, very minimalistic. We don't want a lot of functionality for it, yeah, we just okay. I think it's not showing. All right. Let me try to. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yeah. So the app itself would need a lot of features. Let's say. So we would need the main component, which would be the map, where people would be able to search and select chargers nearby. Obviously, we can implement a search feature for the app and additional methods for the users to make it a little bit easier for them. But this, in essence, would be the bare bones. So they would search for chargers nearby, and wherever there are multiple chargers, obviously we don't want to overpopulate that map, so we can clunk those together. We can cluster them together, and when they zoom in, those become separated, and they're able to see the chargers. Now, when they select the charger, they would be able to see details about it. So they would be able to see the name of the charger, potentially the address, and the type of socket that they would have there. So there are three most popular sockets that I've noticed, but there's one, this one, that's most popular in Europe. So a lot of the charging points also offer compatibility options. So the way we thought about this is that they would be able to select an amount and offer that as a deposit. That can be more or less depending on how comfortable the person would be. Now this would all be done via LNBits, so implemented by LNBits. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the project. It's another project that has participated in a competition here. But in effect, we would have a URL, which is basically the address of the wallet itself. So we don't need any accounts. We don't need any login or anything like that. But it's also very risky because people could share that by mistake, or so it needs quite a few notices for the users, I would say. So yeah, they would select an amount that they want to deposit, and then they can deposit that. They can activate the charger. So then they're presented with another screen. If they have funds in their account, they can use those funds, or they can pay via an external Lightning wallet. So that would be the main component of it. And the other component would be to offer your charger for other people to charge their cars. So we would have this option here, where I could add a charger that I have installed on my home and add the specifications for it and the name, and I would be able to be paid in my automatically generated Lightning wallet, or in a wallet that I can provide. So yeah, the user would be able to kind of browse through the charges that they have here, if they have multiple chargers at home, for example, or if it's a company that has multiple chargers and they want to offer it as a service. And we would have a favorites section. No, one moment. We would have favorite sections, which would show the favorite chargers nearby. Maybe I like, maybe there's a couple of chargers which have, you know, the right jack and a good price nearby from my neighbor, and I favorite them so I can access them easily, and they would show up. Here. And then we would have the account side, which is pretty much a wallet which piggybacks on the LN bits. So we would be able to create addresses, payment addresses via their API and use that, because none of us are Lightning developers. So we would use that to kind of start off with. Yeah, in essence, this is it. This is the idea that we've had, and we do need help. So if anyone would like to join, we don't have a lot of time, and we can you know add bits and bobs to this idea if you'd like to work on it together. And yeah, thank you very much for your time. And yeah, well done, Christoph and Mo. You guys did a very good job at organizing this. And I don't know how to stop this. There we go.
All right, thank you, Ross. I think Light is next, and then Sykes, I think you may also be here. I think then those are the two that we still have to go.
All right, yeah, I'm here.
Awesome.
Hello.
So Light first, and then Sykes.
Great. Let me share my screen. Get the okay, you see my screen.
Yep.
How much time do I have?
Below 10 minutes would be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can do that. So my project is called Compactor. It's a privacy-preserving Bitcoin consolidation tool. So my initial project goals were to finish all the user flows in the wireframes, to convert the wireframes to proper UI design files, and a stretch goal of making a clickable prototype. Life threw a few curveballs at me over the last few weeks, so I wasn't able to get as much done as I hoped to, but I think I completed my first goal. So that's what I'm going to show you today, is all of the user flows in the wireframes. The problem that Compactor is trying to solve is that users of main chain privacy tools like ECDSH addresses, also known as paynims or stealth addresses, and non-custodial mixers can be left with dozens or even hundreds of UTXOs in different addresses. That can be difficult, unwieldy to manage if you're trying to actually spend them in a privacy-preserving way. So like merging inputs from different addresses, for example, to make a larger transaction than is afforded by the balance of any single address, can cause both individual and systemic privacy harms by reducing the anonymity set of the mixes that you've participated in. The more addresses that get merged, the smaller your anonymity set. There are other zero-knowledge protocols that you could use, either using altcoins like Zcash or Bitcoin supporting zero-knowledge protocols like Aztec that you could theoretically use to privately consolidate coins, but these expose users to slippage risks or non-Bitcoin aligned platforms. So I want to be able to do this, use a zero-knowledge protocol to solve this problem in a Bitcoin native way. So this is a picture of like a Wasabi 1.0 wallet with a bunch of UTXOs that the user has collected after multiple mixes. We can see these UTXOs are about 1 million sats each. And you can imagine that if a user needed to make a payment that was 2 million sats, they would have no choice but to combine some of these UTXOs together, which would create a deterministic link on the blockchain. So the technology that could be used to solve this would be a zero-knowledge Bitcoin sidechain called ZSide, which uses BIP300. BIP300 isn't activated on mainnet yet, but there is a testnet version of this sidechain. And we could use Tor to provide anonymity at the network layer, and then BIP158 light clients or ZIP307 light wallets, or a full node if the user wants to run a full node. And this designs that I'm going to show you are designed for desktop app first, but you could imagine this working on a mobile wallet as well. I'll skip that. And I'll just show this slide to demonstrate, like, this is the level of privacy that you're getting from this zero-knowledge sidechain. So we can see in the diagram that although there is a transaction happening here, we have no idea how much is actually being sent. The block explorer just shows 0 coins, and then it shows this public output, which is just the mining fee, but we don't actually know how much it just says no inputs, no outputs. And this is because it's using zero-knowledge proofs to fully end-to-end encrypt this information. It just looks blank on the Explorer, because under the hood it's just ciphertext. You can't actually read any of the metadata. So it totally obscures your transaction details, other than the mining fee. So now we're going to jump into how Compactor actually works. Rather than go through the text, I'll just show the demo. So this is the welcome splash page of the app. It explains to the user what the purpose of the app is, and it gives them a nice get it started button. So let's go ahead and get started. The first step is going to be to choose how you want to sync the app. And you can either use a full node or a light client. Because the full node because the app isn't connected to either of these sync methods yet, the little connection indicators in the bottom right are both showing as red, and you can click on those indicators to see the current status of those networks. It shows that Bitcoin is not connected, and best block and current block is not applicable because it's not connected to any nodes. And you can see the same status for your ZSide zero-knowledge sidechain as well. And there are some tooltips that explain what the different sync options mean. So if the user selects the full node option, they would enter the address of their full node for their Bitcoin full node, as well as their sidechain full node. And then they would click check the connections. And if the connections are working properly, and it's able to actually sync up to those full nodes, then they get a nice checkbox, and the connection indicators turn green, and they can click save and continue. So once again, you can click on it. If the full nodes are still syncing, it will connect to them, so you'll still get the green checkbox, but the connection indicator will now turn blue, and it says that it's syncing, and it shows you the current best block is 123,000 something, but your current block that you're synced to is 111,000. So it'll let you continue, but you're not actually going to be able to use the app until it's fully synced up. So there's some error messages here. No full node detected, try another address, or invalid entry if the format of the address is just incorrect. Here we can see it's missing a P in the HTTP. So once the user corrects that, then it'll give them that save and continue button, or let them check their connection again. And then once they're all set up, it'll show the syncing it'll let them proceed. So if the user chooses the light client option, then it'll just start syncing the wallet as a light client. And basically it just needs to download the block headers and then it'll get synced up. So then they get to opening an existing wallet or creating a new wallet. If they want to open an existing wallet, then they have the ability to choose one of their existing wallets, and they can click into the details if they want to check out the details and copy any of the details. They have the backup code if it's a hot wallet. The backup code is saved in the app. It's along with the private keys if they choose a private keys method. If they want to create a new wallet, then it's going to ask them, is it a hardware or software wallet? If it's a hardware wallet, then they need to import their XPubs from their hardware wallet so that the app knows which addresses to scan for. And then they can select the addresses that they want to deposit from. So in this case, they've selected 2 different addresses to deposit from. They need to approve the deposit transactions on their hardware wallet. Wait some period of time for the deposit to confirm. And then they need to leave the app open and wait, basically to prevent timing attacks on their deposits. And this is kind of what's happening in the background as they're making deposits. They're going into the sidechain at T +1, +2, +3, etc. And then in their sidechain wallet, those transactions are slowly getting consolidated into smaller and smaller notes until eventually they're going to have one note that they can then withdraw into larger denominations. So if they have a software wallet, then they have to go through the whole software wallet backup flow. So they've got to write down their seed phrase, verify that they know it. We call it a backup code here. For their Bitcoin wallet, they can enter a backup code or private keys that they want to deposit from. There's an error message if it's the wrong format. And then similar to the hardware wallet, they select their addresses they want to deposit from, and then the app will kind of automatically handle depositing them and then breaking up those deposits to prevent the timing attacks. So again, we end up with one fat UTXO. It's got a question mark because publicly you can't actually see it. It's encrypted. So now comes the magic. We want to withdraw the UTXOs into larger denominations. So you have 2 options, the automatic withdrawal and the manual withdrawal. With the automatic withdrawal, you basically just select which denominations you want to withdraw, and then you click withdraw, and it'll automate. You just enter an XPub that you want to derive your withdrawal addresses from, and it'll automatically generate a fresh address from the XPub and withdraw each of those denominations you selected, each UTXO to a fresh address derived from the XPub. So you wait for the withdrawals to confirm. It's going to split them up to avoid timing attacks, and then you're done. This page shows you what happens if you get disconnected partway through the process from the full node you're connected to. Basically grays everything out. You can't do anything until your Bitcoin node is connected again, or whatever node disconnected. So if you're doing a manual withdrawal, then you just instead of entering an XPub, you just enter the Bitcoin address that you want to withdraw to, and you basically do one withdrawal at a time manually. You enter the Bitcoin address, you select your withdrawal denomination, and you withdraw. If you try to reuse addresses, it'll detect that, and it'll say, this address has already been used, you need to enter an unused address. Again, it's a privacy preserving tool, so it's gonna prevent you from foot gunning yourself. So then you need to wait, and so that you can prevent timing attacks. And then once your withdrawals are confirmed on the back on the Bitcoin main chain, then you're all done, and all your sats have been consolidated into the designated Bitcoin addresses and the designated denominations, and you can go about and spending larger denomination Bitcoin transactions again. So if you clicked start over, then it would just take you back to this screen. Do you want to open an existing wallet or create a new wallet? There's also a history table, so you can see all the transactions that you've done, how much, how big the transactions were, the network fees, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the very last step. So you've got your big consolidation transaction or UTXO, and then you can do your final withdrawals. You started with a bunch of these smaller UTXOs, and you ended up with one 10 Bitcoin UTXO and one 5 Bitcoin UTXO. And the link between these two UTXOs and the original UTXOs is totally broken by this zero knowledge encryption scheme. So that's it.
Cool. Very nicely done. And next up we have Sai. Sai, if I pronounce your name correctly, please feel free to go ahead and show us what you've done with BTCPay.
I think I'm having a problem with the shared screen though. I couldn't share for some reason.
It's
I
just
think another user had the same issue. You could try a different browser.
How about now?
Yep.
Yep, we see your screen.
Okay, so hey guys, so I'm part of the designing of like the redesigning of the website. So what we're trying to tackle in our project is there's an existing directory for all the merchants for Bitcoin, and so we're trying to redesign it because at the moment it looks like this. So if you visit the website, what you could see is there's a list of merchants right below, and you're gonna scroll every single piece before you to find what you're looking for, right? So so the challenge is to redesign the existing website because there's a problem at the moment. So the problem is there's no search function, there's no clear category filter, and there's no clear application because this website is also used by merchants to apply for them to be included on the list. So hopefully, like the redesigned website they're planning to do is to have a better user interface, to have a clear navigation, and to have a merchant landing page. So what we did first is we did a usability test for both desktop and mobile because it has a different format, as you guys know. So we did it like frame by frame. So we analyzed like what are the things that we could improve on so we could fix it. And then based on the usability test, we identified two main users for this specific website. So we have the customer and we have the merchant. So for the customer, his purpose of visiting the website is to search a merchant. And for the merchant, his purpose of visiting the website is sign an application. So for both two users, the only two steps at the moment, it's only like homepage and select. And then for the merchant's homepage and apply. So the idea was, what if we create a search bar once you visit the homepage so that you could switch between like customer and merchant. So that's the idea we're trying to have. So what we do is we did a competitive benchmark of some existing websites. So the reason why we did this specific website is because we're trying to look at specific elements within this website we could copy so we could see like what the industry standard is. So what we did is like, here's the initial wireframe we did. So first, like what I mentioned, upon visiting the homepage, you could see like a search bar. So you could switch between customer and merchant. So for the customer, you could see like, it's either you put a text or you search category before you click on search. So if you did that, here's what it's going to look like. So you can see like the list of all merchants that are available within the website. But at the same time, you don't have a filter option. So that's what we're trying to fix later on but this is like the initial one. And then for the second part is for the merchant. You could switch by clicking on it, and then afterwards you could just click on apply, and this is what it looks like. So you could just put on your details and then like submit, right? But the problem with that though is like the redesign for the initial wireframe is based on the current website, and it's not based on the user itself. So what we thought of, like what if we focus on the user itself, because the product we're building is not it's not only a vision, it's also based on the product, on the user itself. So we tried to do a more detailed user profile. So this is what we got. So for the customer, we look at like what are the goals, context, behavior, and mental model of each one. So for the customer, like they use the website to search merchants, and they also use it to validate the merchant. Let's say they're outside, and then all of a sudden, like they're paying a Bitcoin, but you want to validate if it's legitimate or not because they're paying so much money. So they go to the directory and search on it to validate. And also, they filter results and they view the merchant's landing page. So if you're interested, like what kind of stores does other merchants offer? And then for the merchant, they use the website as an application. It's either they sign in or sign up, and then they create their own landing page for advertisement as well. So so based on that, based on the user profile, we created like a user flow so to better determine like how does each user navigate. So that's what we got for the customer. So it's like first it's like the home page, then they select, then they see the results. Then they select again based on the results, and they go to the landing page for the merchant. And then for the merchant, what they do is like they go to the homepage. It's either they sign in or sign up, depends if they have a profile already or not. And then they go to the landing page. So whether they edit or they just just want to view what they had so far. And then for the prototype, okay. So this is a prototype we made so far. So for the customer, this is what it looks like. So upon visiting, what you could see is that you see that it says Bitcoin directory, and you could search merchants near you. And so afterwards, like once you visited it, it's gonna detect automatically your location. So for this one, say Netherlands, and then you could see like there's a search bar right here. So like what I mentioned, it's either you could type in a text or just a category, and then like you could click on search. Before I do that, you could also see like down here, there's also some images. So this is like the images of, let's say there's like promos or offers of existing merchants that you could click on if you're interested in. And also, I think it's a good place for merchants to advertise. Let's say to get more. So like this one could be paid for the merchants. So you click on search. So this is what it's going to look like. So you have a list of all the merchants that you search. So there's like a logo, there's a photo, a company name, text description, and then like you could visit the page. So upon visiting the page, so here's what it's going to look like. So there's like a photo here, a company name, text description, and the products they're selling, and also the price itself. And then like if you want to visit more under actual website, you click on this one. So let's go back to the home page. So if you're a merchant, what you're gonna do is you click on the merchant, switch on the merchant, right? And it's either you log in or you create a new account. So for logging in, you just put your username and password. And then if you want to create an account, a window will pop up and like you need to fill up the form. And then once you submit, it's the same thing. Like you're gonna go to the landing page for you to edit your profile for a merchant page. So so that's it for me.
Cool. And last but not least, definitely not least, we have Alexa. And if there's anyone else that still hasn't presented after Alexa, please feel free to just drop a message in the chat. Go ahead, Alexa.
Thanks so much, Mo. Can everyone see my screen? All right, good to hear. Well, since this is the last presentation, I hope not to keep you for too long, and I hope that it's been a good day. It's been good to hear everyone. Okay, this particular project is called Deconstructing, but I've been playing a little bit with the name. Deconstruct do. Do means the path in Japanese. And I think we're all in a deconstruct do path, which is a learning path of Bitcoin, Lightning, and other empowering technologies. Knowledge is an antidote to fear. Once it fills our heads, like this little guy, we tend to share it. And we're helping in a sort of P2P adoption of technology. I think that this is part of being an antidote to fear. And this project is about creating kind of resources and guides in a bit of a library that anyone can use openly, to try to make it easier for anyone to explain these technologies. This particular Designathon was thought on the white paper birthday and Halloween culture that's coming up. So you'll see a few of these themes here, even though sometimes it can be a little spooky. The first aspect of this is actually called the spooky stories. Bitcoin culture has its symbols. Symbols huddle meaning. We can embrace those symbols for storytelling, like rabbits jumping into portal rabbit holes, or perhaps badgers or wizards, or maybe this kind of wizard, or perhaps a sad voodoo doll. What does that have to do with this particular project? And this is an example of a story. Some legends say that voodoo dolls could be controlled against their will. In today's technological world, a lack of financial privacy could keep a watchful eye on this little guy and control any financial move. This is a story to be continued, along with many others, I hope, as this library grows. The second part of this is mind control remedy, which is labeled because knowledge gives us empowerment to avoid the issues that are difficult in our lives, the challenges. So I have this thought of a zombie versus free. And part of it is by creating visual elements that anyone can take and kind of use to explain their stuff. This is an example of some of the avatars that are out there, and it's trying to give a little bit of personality to Alice and Bob. And I hope that will grow across time. It will also, well, it partly includes the slides. It will include more diagrams and reach into in-app education. and have different elements that people could use, like laptops, crown keys, and miners. And the last aspect of this is dark spell removal, which kind of takes on error messages and in-app writing. So we can perhaps make it more personal and less scary. And this is a simple example of what something could be, where we could talk directly to the person like, sorry, we could not send your Bitcoin. We haven't found an existing path in the network for your Bitcoin to reach its destination. You can open a new direct channel, and you'll also be helping expand the network's frontiers. Fees start at something, but you may want to, and explanations could be different. And perhaps we can help people expand frontiers and open new channels and learn a little bit more within those applications. That's kind of that's a few of the thoughts behind this project. Thank you.
This was such a good ending.
Yep, that was
Thank you, Christoph.
Well, it is not quite the ending. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak? Chio, you raised your hand.
Yeah, hello.
Hi there, I can hear you.
Oh yeah, that was an error. I was trying to give a clap for Alexa. I don't have a presentation. I had my own curveballs, and I wasn't able to do much with the limited time that I had. So I would rather just submit my project with the Legends of Lightning. But it was just to say that I really enjoyed the presentations, and I learned a lot. Thank you very much, Christoph and Mo, for putting this together.
Awesome. Yeah, perfect. I'm glad you're still doing the Legends of Lightning. And I wanted to give a shout out of some of the other projects that also did not present this evening. They are the AI Art and Geo. I think you're with Bitcoin multi-wallet. Then there are pod tags, Saving Satoshi. If you want to check out what Saving Satoshi did, you can check out in the Designathon-game channel. Well, all of they have their channels. Taro Jakob, I think he will share a video and submit that. And then Visualize Cryptography, that project will also submit a video presentation. So, and we will share all of those. So we'll upload this video here to YouTube and Bitcoin TV. And then the other videos that we'll receive, we'll also upload them, make them available. And it would be amazing if all you projects could then also share your respective videos, slides, Figma files, anything else you have, because we would love to combine all of this, maybe write a blog post, but also put it on the event website. That makes it a little bit easier for the panel of reviewers also to just kind of see and dig in a little bit further. And it'll be a super awesome archive for the future as well. And I am not jealous of the panel. They have a really, really hard job to do here because that was super cool. Thank you all. I mean, I think it's really crazy, the diversity of projects and ideas and things that we've seen. So kind of clap for yourselves here a little bit. And hope everyone had a good time. And we're almost at 2.5 hours now. So the panel will review and discuss, and we'll make a good decision. And then we will announce the winners on Wednesday in a Twitter space. The time for that, it's slipping my mind. It's Wednesday evening. It's also on the website, event.bitcoin.design. Mo, did I miss anything? Anything else you need to say here?
No, I think you've covered everything. We're seriously pleasantly surprised by all of these projects. It's been an absolute privilege sitting here and watching what you guys have been able to come up with. I take my invisible hat off to everyone. Thank you for your time and your efforts. Seriously. Just coming off what Christoph said is, if all of the projects you've presented, if you could just share the link and the project files within your channel on you each have your individual channels. If you could just share the links in there before midnight UTC, we will really appreciate that, so we can get that to the panel. Yeah, that's it.
And to pick up on what John's here said, you can still enter Legends of Lightning, especially if you want to continue one of these projects. Legends of Lightning is a really great way to do that. If you're not familiar with it, go to bolt.fun. There's a tournament, and then you can join there as well. That goes for another month and a half or so, I think. There's also, they're organizing tons of events as well. I was actually thinking about doing something similar with the Saving Satoshi project, seeing if that can move on to Legends of Lightning. And I think Radoy with AgriMint is doing that, and probably a few others as well. So super cool. But if you'd like to chat, you are more than welcome to chat. You're also more than welcome to hop off here, because it's been 2.5 hours. And I do hope that Jitsi managed to record this whole thing. We'll see.
We could just do it again.
Of course. Everyone's okay with that one? Cool. Yeah, otherwise, feel free to chat. Johns, if you want to talk about Legends of Lightning, you're more than welcome to do so. Not just in the chat, also on video, audio, if you'd like.
Hey there, hey there. Wow, this has been quite an amazing set of projects. I am so impressed to see this kind of level of attention, innovation being put out by you guys. So yeah, really, really awesome work, everyone. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say, really. Legends of Lightning is still going on. If you want some developers, or like it's mostly like design focused teams. You want to get some developers. There's a bunch of them there who are still looking for ideas and projects. You can submit your Figma project and start recruiting developers, front end, back end, etc. Yeah, I'm just waffling now.
Cool. Awesome. I'm going to stop the recording here. Stop recording.